Let's welcome in National Review reporter Caroline Downey, retired Air Force Brigadier General Blaine Holt, and political analyst and best-selling author Mark Halperin. Good morning. Happy New Year. Let's get into it. Mark, question one. Is Donald Trump convicted before Election Day?
Up to the Supreme Court, but I say no.
Caroline, is Donald Trump the GOP nominee?
Yes.
General, if Donald Trump is not the nominee, who do you think is the nominee?
It'll be Ron DeSantis.
These don't have to be one-word answers, by the way. You can add a little color, a little paprika, if you will. All right, Caroline, is Joe Biden the nominee? I feel like there was so much pressure. Is Joe Biden the nominee for Democrats?
Yes, unless he becomes indisposed, mentally incapacitated at some point where he is no longer fit to run. We're getting close to that point. The perpetual vacationing, the gaffes, the blunders, the stumbling off stage. I hate to say it, but I don't think it's going to be voluntary where he departs from the nomination. I think it would be involuntary, and that would pave the way for a much more formidable candidate like Gavin Newsom.
Or Michelle Obama, Mark, right?
Yeah, Michelle Obama. I make my mother of all predictions. She will never run for public office.
Okay, we can add to that, by the way. Let's say if Joe Biden, if he passes away, you know, he's 81 years old. If he were to die over the next 10 and a half months, obviously, he would not be the nominee. Now, if he's not the nominee, Mark, does that mean it's Kamala Harris?
Every day that goes by makes it more likely it's Kamala Harris, and I think a lot of Republicans underestimate, and some Democrats underestimate the stranglehold she has on the nomination and her unwillingness to step aside if Joe Biden isn't the nominee.
Yeah. General, a couple foreign policy questions. Let's go to the war in Ukraine. Do you think the war in Ukraine ends in 2024?
I do. It's going to end, and unfortunately, it's not going to end in a way where we're going to believe the West taking victory laps, and there's going to be a healthy examination of accountability that needs to be served for not just Ukraine, but Afghanistan and every other zero strategy, throw money at it plan that we've engaged in. Russia's going to sue for terms here very soon.
General, does Ukraine lose this war? And when I say lose the war, I mean, does Ukraine end up ceding territory in the eastern part of the country, the Donbass region, the region that we've talked about for the last 2 years? Is that what an end to this war could look like in the new year?
It's what an end to this war will look like. And moreover, let's define what loss really means. On the night before the war, the Russians laid down terms about what that land would look like, what the terms would look like, who they could join, and what the memberships would be. Had Ukraine taken that deal at that time, you would now compare to where they're at now and say, oh, that would have been a victory. But instead, we interrupted peace talks on the Western side, and we said, whatever it takes, we're with you. Now we say, well, we'll go as long as we can. That's a very big difference, and it puts Zelensky and his entire government into a big problem. Moreover, the cascading risks from that failure echo Afghanistan, and we're starting to see signs in the Middle East that people are and countries are taking advantage of that weakness.
Mark, I'm freelancing now, but what does an end to the war in Ukraine look like if Ukraine does, in fact, end up ceding territory to Russia? What does that look like for Joe Biden as he runs for re-election?
Well, I think Mayor Holt's exactly right about what the terms will be, and unfortunately, that's been clear for a while. A lot has been wasted in treasure and blood over delaying the inevitable. If Joe Biden is on his watch, if Ukraine has to basically surrender to the Russians, it's going to be a very big political loss. And although he will deny it, a lot of people will say it was because he failed to act aggressively enough in the beginning to deliver material to the Ukrainians.
Yeah, Joe Biden was supposed to be our foreign policy president. Might not be the case. Caroline, let's talk about some stuff back here at home. Does Joe Biden pardon Hunter Biden in the new year?
I think he might. I think he has a personal stake in that. And I think it's too much of a political liability, frankly, to have his scandals still very much being litigated. And so to pardon his son seems like one way to excuse that. I think that would generate massive outrage, though, and I think would prove to many Americans, independent, Democrats, Republicans, that the Biden family is corrupt to its core and that it's just a bunch of crooks. And, apparently that's just commonplace in politics now.
Bye.